the aspects of this world that gives us deep, deep meaning in our lives is connection. As humans, we tend to do this interesting thing where if we ask people about love, they'll often respond with stories of heartbreak. And if we ask them about belonging, they'll often respond with experiences of being excluded. And to follow suit, when we ask people about connection, what do you get? Stories of disconnect. So what holds us back from connection? Well, there might be more than one answer, but the answer that I'm going to present to you today is shame. And to start, I want to point out the difference between guilt and shame. So guilt is when you believe that you did something wrong. You did an action that was wrong, and you feel guilty about it. Shame, on the other hand, is when you believe that you are something wrong. And so how does shame hold us back from connection? It's because that shame that's within me, it has me believe that there is something wrong with me, that there is something different about me. And if people truly see that and know that, then I won't be worthy of connection. And the main belief that's under that shame is that I'm not good enough. And so if people truly see me, they'll want nothing to do with me because I'm not worthy of connection. So if shame is the barrier between me and connecting with others, then what's the bridge to get over that shame? The answer, vulnerability. Allow me to say that again, vulnerability. I know some of the guys watching this video are probably like, what? Vulnerability? What's that? You see, I believe that in order to form meaningful connections, we have to allow ourselves to actually be seen and heard. And if you're anything like me, that can be pretty terrifying at times. Most people do not have a natural draw towards being vulnerable, and especially men. As men, our mantra is something like, I don't get emotional. I don't cry. I a big strong man. And living by those old mantras or stereotypes have us more disconnected than ever. Do you know what it actually takes to be vulnerable? It takes courage. The courage to actually open up. The courage to be imperfect. Here's an idea that will probably be foreign to anything that you've ever heard or been taught. That which makes you vulnerable makes you beautiful. And obviously being vulnerable can take on many forms, right? It might look like being willing to say, I was wrong. Or being willing to say, I love you first. Or being willing to ask the person out, to make the first move, to initiate sex, or to ask for help when you're sick. Those are all forms of being vulnerable. Now, learning to be vulnerable is not something that's been easy for me because I'm someone that's been filled with a lot of shame. And shame meaning that I've believed that there's something fundamentally wrong with me. And so I don't want people to see that. Therefore, getting vulnerable and actually connecting with people hasn't really been in the cards for me so much. However, after years of self-induced suffering, of feeling alone, feeling different, feeling separate and disconnected, after years of that, I finally decided to walk head first into that vulnerability. And it hasn't been easy. It's been a step-by-step process. But the results have spoken for themselves and my life has expanded drastically. Now, I don't want to be one of those people that talks the talk and doesn't walk the walk, so I'm going to get vulnerable on this video, right here, right now in front of you guys. And I'm going to do that by telling you one of the most painful experiences of my life. This isn't easy for me, so bear with me. So, I have a 4-year-old boy, his name's Chase, and he is one of the massive lights of my life. He's very near and dear to my heart, and when he was coming into this world, I was still actively using drugs. And so I often think about how selfish that is. I was using drugs that I could have overdosed on at any point. I could have died from. So I think about that, and I think about my little boy growing up without a dad. I think about him asking his mom and my parents, and asking them, what happened to my daddy? Where's my dad? Why isn't he here? And then they would have to tell him, your daddy was suffering and he couldn't take it here. He was in pain and he tried, but he couldn't do it. Thankfully, that's not what happened. Chase was born on May 1st, 2014, and then I was arrested on May 23rd, 2014, because I chose to get high that day. I chose to black out on prescription pills. And I was in jail for the next 3.5 months, and my son was without a father for that time, because I chose to get high. Like a lot of nevers in my story, I'd never do this, I'd never do that, but one of the things that I never thought I'd break was that I'd never be an absent father. I'd never not be there for my son, and I broke that never. Because I wasn't there. And thankfully, you can wipe the tears, and I can smile today because this story has a happy ending, right? Because for those of you that know me and Chase are inseparable. We're extremely close, and one of the things that lights me up the most is just hearing him say daddy. Just hearing him run around the corner and say dad. I can tell he looks up to me. I can tell he's proud of me. I can tell that he's happy that I'm his dad. It's the best. And despite that dark past, I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to be the best father that I can be today. And that was it. That was me getting vulnerable. That was me being courageous and getting vulnerable, despite what other people might think about it. That was me allowing myself to be seen and heard, because I'm done being separate and disconnected. I'm done playing small and hiding out. I'm ready to fully be me today. I'm ready to be vulnerable, and I'm ready to connect with you. And I want to wrap it up with this. We're in a time where the adult population in the US is more obese, more in debt, and more addicted than ever before. Why is that? It's because we're on a numbing mission. And when we numb the shame and the pain and the grief and the guilt and the fear, we also numb the happiness and the joy and the gratitude for life. And the end result, we're miserable. We're left sitting there longing for purpose and meaning, saying, what is the point of this life? And when you begin to form connections, you fulfill a deep sense of meaning within you. And how do we form connections? By getting vulnerable, by allowing ourselves to be seen and heard. And I know there are times where being vulnerable can result in pain, can result in rejection or abandonment and being made fun of. But it can also result in some of the most profound freedom that you've ever known. And whether you're made fun of or applauded for, either is just fine. Because in the end, you are enough. For just being here and being you, you are enough. Thanks so much for watching today's video and for watching me cry. If you think you might help somebody, please go ahead and share this. And as always, please check out my other videos, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Peace.